Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Bari al-Khalaik ajma'in. Wassalatu wassalam ala rasulihi wa habibihi al-Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولعنة الأعداء أجمعين من الآن إلى يوم الدين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله والأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته جميعا. Today I'd like to talk about a topic that is a very sensitive one, a very prevalent one when it comes to the attacks on Islam, when it comes to criticisms against Islam, and also from the point of view of men's relationship to women and our attitude to women, which should be very problematic to say the least, and also depending upon how far you are away from the center of Islamic knowledge, the center of Islamic practice, the center of research and discoveries and so on in Islam. And I think the whole issue of male-female relationships in the West have led to a lot of misunderstandings among men and women about it. So I'd like to try to clarify that and talk a little bit about it. And the fundamental harmonious relationship between men and women, which is supposed to be the norm, is mentioned in the following Quranic verse, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And of his signs is that he created for you from among yourselves mates, that you may find tranquility in them. And he placed between you affection and mercy. Indeed, in that are signs of people who think deeply. So here Allah is saying that when he says that one of his signs, when Allah mentions something as one of his signs, it is something to take note of because that sign functions both in terms of its wondrousness, its depth, its profundity, as something that could only come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's on one level. And on the other level, on the level of its symbolism. It's symbolism. You know, when you look at a sign, whether it be a sign on the street, whatever sign, a sign has two aspects to it. One, it points to or identifies that which it is made for. So the sign is not something autonomous in and of itself. The sign is made to point to something, to indicate something. That's one thing. The other thing is the sign itself, the appearance of that sign, how that sign looks. Okay, that sign has a symbolic aspect to it. So for example, you might see a sign where it's an arrow pointing that way. The arrow is something symbolic. An arrow is related to a bow and arrow, right? But it's pointing you to the direction. That sign symbolizes that direction. And so Allah is saying that this is a very important sign. What is this sign? That He created from ourselves, our mates, from ourselves. Now we know that the other verses of the Holy Quran, it talks about Allah creating male and female from a nafsin wahida, from one soul. Okay, so we're talking about a soul, or ourselves, meaning the self, the souls. We're talking about a soul. We're not talking about a physical entity. We are talking about a non-physical entity. And a soul, a female soul, and a male soul, and so on, they are characterized by certain characteristics, not necessarily a physical appearance. That soul, for example, that fundamental, what we would call androgyne. Androgyne meaning the combination of the word andro from androgen, for example. Andro meaning man or male, related to male, describing something that is male. And gyno meaning feminine, like gynecology, for example. So androgyne means a soul that has both male and female characteristics. Again, remember, we're not talking about bodily forms here now. We're talking about a person that has a head and arms and so forth and so on. Okay, we're talking about characteristics. Right? And this fundamental soul, this primordial soul, had both male and female characteristics. Male and female characteristics like what? For example, the female characteristic of beauty, the male characteristic of majesty or power, for example. So these are different characteristics. The female characteristic of nurturance, the male characteristic of domination, for example. These are all different aspects of the male and female characteristics. I'll give an example to show how female characteristics or male characteristics do not describe gender in particular, but only by indication, is when you look at some athletes, for example. When you look at some of the very, 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 very good athletes, the very best athletes. For example, Ronaldo, okay, or in boxing, Muhammad Ali, or in ice hockey, Wayne Gretzky, and so forth. When you look at some of these well-achieved athletes, you notice that there is something about them that is feminine, okay? Feminine in what sense? Feminine in the sense of, for example, grace or beauty. I remember one time watching Thierry Henry, that's how we pronounce his name, Thierry Henry? Huh? Thierry, that's what I said. Thierry Henry playing football, soccer. And he played I was seeing him playing with the grace of a ballet dancer. You know what I'm saying? The man was almost running on the tippy toes of his shoes, you see? Right. When you look at these types of athletes, there is something feminine about them. There's a grace about them. There's a finesse about them. There's a beauty about them. In fact, even their outward appearances, they look good. Muhammad Ali, after he boxed somebody and knocked them out, he'd come to the side of the ring and comb his hair, and say how beautiful I am to be a boxer. You look at really, really good athletes, and they have that particular feminine quality about them. Okay? The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was described as someone who was more bashful than a virgin, for example, right? More shy than a virgin. Somebody who was also at the same time, brave to stand in front of the army and lead. Okay, he was described as being beautiful. And people who saw him and met him were enamored by his beauty. So when we talk about feminine and masculine, we're not talking necessarily about gender. We are talking about qualities. Now, in the creation, everything in creation is made up of pairs. Allah says He created everything in pairs. Okay, and pairs are very important because without pairing, pairing is very different to being the opposite. Right? Women are not opposite to men. Women are complementary to men. There are two types of opposites. One type of opposite is the antagonist of something. For example, water and fire. Right? They are antagonists to each other. Or honesty and dishonesty, or the honest person and the thief. These are antagonists to each other. They cannot exist in the same space or in the same being. But there are other opposites which we call complementary opposites. Like, for example, teacher and student. Both of them rely upon each other to fulfill their destiny, to fulfill their nature. Husband and wife. These are not antagonist opposites, they are complementary opposites. Up and down in the sense of being able to describe direction. They complement each other, all right? Right and wrong, they might on one level exist on the level of antagonists. They can't exist in the same space at the same time. But on the level of discourse, for example, they provide a backdrop for us to understand the other one. You can't understand up without down. You can't understand right without wrong. You can't understand right without left, for example. You need these types of things to be able to compare with each other. And the entire universe is made up of that, made up of this dichotomy between two things. Now, the metaphysical or the transcendental origin of human beings go back to what? Allah expressing himself. One great author said, the universe is the self-disclosure of Allah. And Allah himself says that the earth is made up of signs. All of the things in the earth, whether in the afaq or fi anfusina, all of these things point to Allah. So the whole world are pointers to Allah. The whole world are signs that point to Allah. And so are human beings, men and women. Now, everything in the world are not they're not equal. These signs of Allah are not equal to each other. Some are greater and some are lesser. And what do we mean by these signs? It means from an Irfani point of view that these signs, all things can have in themselves the names of Allah. All things are manifestations of the names of Allah. Some manifest more than others. So a flower, for example, might manifest the beauty of Allah, but it might not reflect, for example, the name of Allah as Al-Qadim. A flower cannot last, okay? It does not reflect the name of Allah as Al-Jabbar, the eminently powerful. A mountain might express that, but it might not express the name beauty. You see where I'm getting with this? Some things express the names of Allah, but they express the names of Allah only on a limited level. It is not so with the human being. The human being, at least in potential, is an entity that is composed of all of the names of Allah. But all of these names of Allah in a human being might not be balanced with each other. So for example, Ibn Arabi talks about Fir'aun, for example. He says Fir'aun, he reflects the names of Allah too. But the name of Ar-Rahman is less in Fir'aun than, for example, the name of Jabbar. And this is why he becomes a tyrant. You see, because he does not have enough of that Rahman in himself. That is a reflection of the name of Allah. But all of us have these names, have the potential for these names. And this is why we say, for example, Man arafa nafsahu arafa rabbahu. It means knowing your inner reality, knowing about the fact that you are a representative of a particular manifestation of Allah's names in the created universe. And for this reason, for example, we have the science of akhlaq, which gives us an insight into what aspects of those names that are not actualized in ourselves and how we can actualize them. So this is what a human being is. A human being is nothing but a manifestation of the names of Allah on this physical plane. Okay? In the previous plane, in the Alam al-Dhar, the plane before we came into this world, we existed on the level of the names, and only on the names. And therefore, with our differences in our combinations of the names that eventually came to reflect our personality in this world, on that level, we didn't have any conflict. So here's Pharaoh, maybe standing shoulder to shoulder with Hazrat Musa, and they're fine up there because they're all, lights. Okay? When you come down here, this is when these things become actualized, and we now enter into states of conflict and so forth with each other. Now, the names of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, have been, how should I say, classified, if we could put it that way, into different forms, into different aspects. And one very prominent aspect is Allah with his names of beauty, and Allah with his names of majesty. And the names of beauty of Allah, we can call them the feminine names of God, keeping in mind that we're not talking about something anthropomorphic or something human. right? And in the masculine names of God, you have the names of rigor, okay? You have the names of Allah as, for example, the Avenger, Allah as the Punisher, you know, Allah as the Judge, Allah as the one who takes life, and so forth and so on. This is under the name of Allah as the Majestic. And under the names of Allah as the Beautiful, we have names like, for example, Allah as the Forgiver, Allah as the Beautiful, you know, Allah as the Nurturer, Allah as the one who gives you your risk, and so forth and so on. And so, with these two types of classifications of the names, we are placed here in this earth as men and women. First of all, in terms of being complementary opposites, right, which is eminently necessary. And secondly, in terms of us manifesting the names of Allah in majesty, that would make us men, and in beauty, that would make us women. And so we have this dynamic taking place. Now, we come from this androgyne. We come from this unified spiritual entity that is divided into a male and female, or a masculine and feminine aspect. All right? And this masculine and feminine aspect become manifested in this world as males and females. And because we come from this primordial, original, unified entity, we are drawn to going back to that, because that is perfection. We are drawn to going back to that, and this is where we have, for example, the attraction of the genders. All right, now, in creation, you have the active principle and the passive principle. Okay, or the active principle and the reactive principle. Okay. And so you'd find that, for example, between men and women, you have these principles operational. For men, what is outward is inward for women, and for women, what is outward for women is inward for men. So for men, beauty is something inward. For women, beauty is something outward. For men, majesty or domination, for example, is something outward. For women, it is inward. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that, for example, when a man is in a relationship with a woman, he would want her to obey him directly. Right? He might want her to obey him directly. All right? I'm the boss. Yeah, right. Okay, you're the boss. He likes that. That's it. He's outward. With a woman, for example, that aspect is something inward. She becomes the boss. But she doesn't become the boss by saying, you obey me. Okay? No, because he would resist that. She becomes the boss by dominating him with her heart. Okay? She becomes the boss by trapping him with her love. Alright? So she can say to him, we don't have any sugar today, darling. He's okay, I go out and get the sugar. He follows her orders. Okay? But the day she says to him, go buy the sugar, he's going to put up a fuss. Okay? It doesn't work like that. So what is inward for men is outward for women. What is outward for women is inward for men. And this is why, for example, when a woman looks at a man, she doesn't look at a man, he might be the most beautiful man in the world, and yeah, that might be a bit difficult. But he might be attractive, okay, but that's not important for her, as important as his inward attraction. Okay? Is he loyal? Is he brave? Is he a provider? Is he disciplined? Is he mature? These are all things that are based upon inward beauty. All right? With a man, it's different. How old is she? What kind of hair does she have? How tall is she? And so forth and so on. This is his own take upon that. So this is where we see this complementary aspect happening. What happens with us is sometimes we don't recognize it as complementary. Okay? We want to recognize it as something maybe external and purely external. And so, we want the other person to be like us, and they want us to be like them. So you find that a whole lot of women are having men who are nothing but psychic extensions of their wives. all right? And you have a lot of women who are nothing but psychic extensions of their husbands, all right? And when you live in a society like this, where you have feminism dominating the discourse, okay, you have it even more complex, you see, because feminism is really nothing but a sort of a masculinization of women, okay? We do recognize that the sort of raison d'etre for feminism was because of a response to the oppression of men upon women and denying them their rights and their, their potential, right? This is true. But the way of overcoming it, right, should not have been just the embracing of male values and trying to get women to, conform to that, or, for example, to see the relationship in a very mathematical, formal way of equality. Because equality, the equal sign itself is a mathematical sign. It's not a qualitative sign. Equal means what is on the right is quantitatively equal to what is on the left, or quantitatively identical to what is on the left. So 2 plus 2 equal 4. 4 and 2 plus 2 are the same, but in different forms. Equality deals with number. It doesn't deal with quality. A good example of equality being inappropriately expressed is if, for example, you take 2 trees. One tree is, let's say, an apple tree, another tree is an orange tree, and you write equal between them. It means they might be equal in terms of the genus, the tree itself. But when you look at the 2 trees, they require different things in order for them to survive. They require different soil, they require different climate, and indeed their fruits are entirely different to each other. Okay? Equality, therefore, does not create identicalness in quality, because quality by its very definition cannot be equalized with anything else. So they bring this idea of equality, and this idea of equality so far has not worked, but there are a lot of efforts to try to make them work, okay? And it's not happening. It's just not happening. What is happening is that this whole paradigm is now being expanded to include other types of sexual orientations and so forth. So this is the fundamental metaphysical reason for males and females. Now, are they equal? No, they're not. Allah Himself says that Allah has given more fadl or more advantage to the man, and this is why Ar-Rijal Qawwamuna 'ala Nisa, that men are the maintainers of women. We tend to look at this particular verse from the context of marriage, but it is not just from the context of marriage. It is a universal thing that all men are the supporters, are the maintainers of all women. And when we make Qawamun, doesn't necessarily mean paying nafaka and these types of things. No, it means there's something called the divine economy. The divine economy, right? And this divine economy is generated by something we call sadaqah. All right? The divine economy is this: that anytime you have more than somebody, anytime you have an advantage over somebody, you use that more and that advantage to their benefit. This is what it means, right? There's a hadith that says there's a zakah for everything. There's a zakah for everything. There's a zakah for health is sickness. Okay? There's a zakah for knowledge is teaching. Okay? There's a zakah for wealth is charity, and so forth and so on. Everything that you have, you should use as a zakah. Okay? And using it as a zakah, using it as a charity, increases that which you have. So Islam admits that men have an advantage over women. They admit this, all right? And if we want to deny it, that's our problem. Okay, you're going to fall right into the same, feminist, dead end, the same feminist dead end, where you are every day trying to justify this and trying to change things. Allah has given men an advantage that He doesn't give women. All right? For example, male physical strength. For example, the male way of organizing, right? For example, the male way of, let's say, not being, what do you call it in this time? Not being multitasking. You know, males tend to be focused on one thing at a time, and they concentrate on this, and they organize. These are certain advantages that men have. The male way of being convincing, and so forth and so on. All right. So males have this. All right. What a male is supposed to be doing is to be the person who maintains women or supports women in moving ahead. So you got a daughter, you got a young daughter, for example, Mr. Man, Mr. Dad. You got a young daughter, and she's shy. Okay? She has a school presentation to make next week, Monday, and she's shy. Because she's a girl, she's shy. Right? Okay? What do? You give her some of that male drive. You give her some of that male encouragement. Come on, girl, you can do this. Let me tell you something. Go out there and kick some. You know what I'm saying? All right? You tell them that. You support them on this. You give them some of that testosterone to help them go out there and do something with their lives. This is what it means by Arijal Kawamuna Alenisa. It doesn't mean that you let your daughters just learn Quran in school on a Saturday, and when they graduate, then you say, that's it for school for you, because now you're going to be a housewife and that's all you could be. It doesn't mean that at all. Okay? It means that you have to give to your children, okay, to your daughters especially, that drive, that perspective that Allah has given you to encourage her to be the best she could be in society. All right? You know, so, I mean, I don't know if she'd appreciate what I'm going to say, but maybe she would. My daughter came home one day from university, and, you know, she's a member of ABSOC. I won't tell you what position she has because you might figure out who she is. She's a member of ABSOC, right? And she was involved in talking with a Sunni. She joins this ABSOC club where they're already separated from the Sunnis. And she doesn't like that. She wants to bring them back together. So one way of doing this is talking to one Sunni guy who is all ears, who's listening to what she's saying, and they're talking and they're coming to the same point of view. All right? And she's saying, wow, I can work with this guy. He's going to be my secret weapon to get this group to rejoin with us. Then one day, she meets him, and he says to her, I spoke to my organization, and I'm sorry to tell you, you guys are kafirs. You guys are kafirs. Okay. Sorry. So she sees all her efforts slide downhill, okay? And she comes home, okay? And she says to me, she was crying, okay? She was so sad, she was crying. And I said to her, why are you crying? This is war. What a guy would say. This is war, okay? We're Kafirs. You should say, I want to show you something, okay? You know, us Kafirs are going to make you guys sorry, right? And I said to her, yeah, this is what we guys would do, all right? You take over the name of Islam in your university, okay? You take that name over. You monopolize that name, all right? And this is how you do it. Boom, 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 boom. And that's what she's doing right now. Okay? This is what we mean by Arijal Kawabuna ala Nisa. When I told her this, she lit up. She said, yes, it is no prisoners from tomorrow. Okay? This is what we got to do with our daughters. Right? And we have to be able to get on their level. Right? To get on their level, right? I mean, a lot of women, for example, there are people who are good in medicine or in math and physics and so on. There are girls who are good in that. But not as much as boys, okay? My daughter in particular, she's really good in physics and math and all of that, okay? But a lot of them are more into arts, more into psychology. I'm not trying to stereotype sisters here, no. I hate stereotyping sisters, okay? So I'm not trying to do this. I'm just saying there are certain aptitudes or certain orientations. Right? Women are more into this type of thing, communicative types of things, right? Not symbols and stuff like that, communicative types of things, journalism and things of that nature, okay? And they might not be on our radar as fathers. Well, we got to expand our radar to be able to pick that up and to help them, to encourage them in that. And we're talking about women and men. One idea that floats around is that women are not as intelligent as men. Okay, or women don't reason as much as men. Okay, that women are emotional, and that their emotions will get in the way of their judgment. Okay, on one level it is true, on another level it is completely false. On the level where it is true, you find it takes place in an intimate situation. Okay, an intimate situation. When that woman and you are married or in love or something like that, and you have a difference of opinion, yes. Okay, especially difference of opinion in terms of your behavior, all right? Who was right and who was wrong, who did so and so, who looked at so and said so and so forth and so on, right? That's where that stuff comes in, okay? They get really emotional, we get really rational, and never the two shall meet, all right? Unless you read the book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, and you get an idea of how to talk to each other, all right? But outside of that, when it comes to, for example, making a judgment outside on the street, in a court of law, and so forth, right? They're quite rational. Some people say women can't be judges because, if the defendant who was a mass murderer comes in there with a baby face, her as a judge will go, oh, let's give him 2 years instead of 20. Okay? How many of you guys watch Judge Judy on TV? You watch Judge Judy? Who watches? Put your hand up. Who look at Judge Judy? I don't believe it. Come on, you guys are lying. Come on. Who watches? I watch Judge Judy. All right, one of my favorite shows. Okay? Judge Judy does not strike me as a woman who is dominated by her emotions. Judge Judy is not like that. Okay? So then why, for example, in an Islamic state, is a woman not allowed to be a judge? Okay? It's not because she does not have the aptitude to be a judge. Clearly that's not the case. Right? The reason that she's not allowed to be a judge is because of symbolism, of what she represents. Similarly, for example, a woman is not allowed to fight and be a soldier, right? Unless, the enemy has broken through the walls and are now trying to take over the city or something. Women are not allowed to be soldiers. Why? Again, because of the symbolic reality of women. You see, we all live not only in just the physical, social world, but we also live in this symbolic world. Now, a woman, to be judged, for example, means to condemn somebody to death, or to condemn somebody to life imprisonment, or something like that. Or to be a soldier is to take life. When woman is the locus of bringing life into the world. Woman is a locus of nurturing. Okay? Indeed, when we approach Allah, we speak to Allah in His feminine names. We don't speak to Allah in His masculine names. We speak to Allah, when we pray to Allah, we pray to Allah as the forgiver. Forgive me, please. We pray to Allah as the nurturer. Please give me this. Please increase my salary. Please give me more. We speak to Allah as the one who is caring and kind. When we pray to Allah for our enemies, then we speak to Allah in His names of majesty. We want revenge. We want that person to learn the lesson that, he should learn from what they did to me. We want Allah to punish so and so and so. This is how we deal. All right? So a woman then represents that nurturing aspect of Allah. And just as we don't want to, tarnish that in our prayers with the other aspects of Allah, because we want Allah to relate to us on that level, so too we don't want to tarnish that with a woman in this world. And it's only 3 occupations that are restricted to women in Islam, in an Islamic state, not in a non-Islamic state. So in this society, a woman could be a soldier, she could be a judge, she could be the prime minister. It doesn't make a difference, okay? And so you could support a Muslim woman to be prime minister of this country. But it's only these 3 things: soldier, judge, and soldier judge, and also leader of an Islamic state, all right? Outside of that, you know, they could do anything. They could pursue anything, all right? You know, when we look at, for example, things like, you know, housekeeping, and from the point of view of Islamic law, it is not wajib for a woman to be a housekeeper. It's not wajib for a woman to cook for her family. It's not even wajib for a woman to breastfeed her own child. It's not wajib, okay? It indicates that, and when they do it, it goes back to their own very nurturing nature itself, which is something that should give us gratitude, okay, and wonder. Okay, but what it points out to is that none of these domestic things are things that are wajib upon a woman. So therefore, you know, there are other things that women can do. Okay, she don't have to do these things. There are other things that she can do. You know, she could be a lawyer, she could be a dentist, she could be a doctor, she could be whatever she wants to be. Okay, and this is what we have to try to encourage our women to do. One other thing that we tend to stereotype our relationships with is in the business of taking advice from a woman. Okay, I have a lot of hadith that talk about, you know, you shouldn't take advice from a woman and so forth and so on. And if a woman does asks you to do something, you do the opposite, and these types of things. All right, and we tend to look at that again in a very stereotypical way. What these hadith are actually talking about again is on a sort of domestic level of test. Okay, what it means is, you know, women always, so guys, you know, heads up, or who doesn't know this, okay? Women always test men. Women always test men to see how manly you are, how masculine you are, right? They might test you in terms of ordering you around. You know, they order you to do something, or they tell you to do something, do this for me, you do it. They tell you to do something again, right? And then by the third time, she's upset with you, and you don't know why. I have no idea why, right? I brought it for you, what else do you want me to do? Okay, bring out another thing. You bring out another thing, she's even more upset. Why? Because she doesn't like you at her beck and call. She doesn't, right? She doesn't like she doesn't like you to be bossable. Doesn't like you to be bossable. All right? And you don't know that. You see? So when you have these hadith talking about, for example, don't take the advice of a woman, and you know, when she tells you to do something, do the opposite. Okay, they're talking about that narrow particular event, that narrow situation. Okay, it does not talk about the fact that you can take advice from women. You know, on a more simple level, for example, a woman is a professional in something, and you're not a professional. You take advice. A good example of men taking advice from women is in Karbala itself. When Habib ibn Muzahir goes to his wife and he tells her that letters come from Hussein to invite me to come and fight for him, he refers to his wife. What do you think? And she says, you know, there's a childhood friend who is calling you. All right? Go to him. Right? When Wahhab, for example, you know, the Christian, becomes enamored of Imam Hussein and wants to go fight for him, he talks to his mother. Right? And he tells his mother, you know, I think he's right, and he's beset by people who want to kill him. You know, and what do I do? She says, you know, you're going to die. He says, yes. She says, well, you follow your heart. Okay? He's another person again who's referring to his wife. Okay? But Zuhair, for example, you know, the one who was a Nasibi, he hated the Ahlul Bayt. You know, he was an Uthmani. He supported the position of Uthman. You know, and he was avoiding stopping at the same place with Imam Hussein because he disliked him so much. And when it finally happened, and Imam Hussein alayhi salam invited him over to come and meet, who did he refer to? He referred to his wife. And his wife said, why would you refuse the son of the Prophet who is inviting you? And all these wives give a very good and a just and balanced reason why they should follow Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Okay? So here we have, and these are the best of Shia. These are the best of Shia, the ones who died with Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And all of them are taking advice from their wives. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, he also took advice from his wife, Hazrat Khadija al-Kubra. You see, so it is something that is a continual motive. So when we use this idea that you shouldn't take advice from women and you shouldn't listen to them and so on and so on, and we use this in a general sense, we are actually being engaged in the oppression of women. Okay, we are marginalizing them. We are making them smaller than they are. Nevertheless, in Islamic society, there is a hierarchy. I'm not denying hierarchy. Hierarchy exists. All right? And men, Islam is patriarchal. I don't apologize for this. I got attitude. You know what I'm saying? Right? A feminist comes and asks, is Islam patriarchal? And I say, yes, proudly so. What's the problem? Okay? It's patriarchal. But it's not a patriarchy that is oppressive. No, it's a patriarchy that is supposed to be supportive. It's supposed to be empowering for women, not disempowering for women. Nevertheless, men have a certain authority over women in society, but it does not make women inferior to men. And a very good example of this is when we compare Hazrat Maryam and Hazrat Zakaria, right, who's a prophet. Okay, Hazrat Zakaria is a prophet. He gets his revelation. He's a normal Nabi. He's not a Rasul. Okay, so you know the difference between a Rasul and a Nabi. A Rasul, he sees the angel. A Rasul sees the angel. A Nabi doesn't see the angel. Okay, a Nabi gets the revelation through dreams and so on. Okay, or he hears the revelation, but he never sees the angel. Here you have Hazrat Maryam, Assalamu alaiha, and she sees the angel. The angel comes to visit her. The angel brings her food that astounds Hazrat Zakaria. It is clear that the spiritual status of Hazrat Maryam is higher than that of Zakaria. It is higher. Okay? Nevertheless, he is the one who is in charge of her. Okay? He is the one who has authority over her. Again, when we look at the family situation, the hadith. Somebody asked the Prophet, between my father and my mother, who should I respect the most? He says, your mother. He says, then who? Your mother. Then who? Your mother. Then who? Your father. In other words, your mother is 3 times, has a higher status, spiritual status, than your father. 3 times. But the father is the one who's in charge of the family. The father is the one who makes the law. When you're praying, you cannot stop your prayer if somebody calls you. You can't stop your prayer unless they call you because there's a fire or something. You can't stop your prayer. The only person you can stop your prayer for is your mother. You pray, your mother calls you, right? I mean, you mightn't stop your prayer. That's fine too. But if you stop your prayer and you go and say your mother, it's not a sin. The father doesn't have that power. Imagine that. You're talking to God and your mom calls it. God, hold on, right back. Right? God says, okay, go ahead. It's your mom. Right? You go tell God, oh, right back is my father. You're going to come right back here and you pray now. You don't move from here. It's a big difference. Okay? So it's not a hard and fast rule, that says women are inferior to men. No, not at all. Not at all. Okay? Because again, in those areas where we relate, we realize that women are just as intelligent as men, just as intelligent, okay? Just as conceptual, and have their own particular way of approaching things, all right? So what I want to encourage you all to do is to have that type of attitude towards our sisters, to have that type of attitude towards our sisters, to have an attitude of protection for them, to be looking out for them, I remember when I was just young in Islam and hanging out with my other brothers in New York City and so forth. You could not, a Muslim woman used to feel, a Muslim convert especially in our neighborhood anyway, used to feel quite comfortable being a convert because she knew that if there were brothers in the street, nobody could molest her. Nobody could accost her or attack her or anything like that because there's a brother out there somewhere who's looking out for her. And there were times when we definitely, including yours truly, had to actually go out there and stop people or prevent people from, or threaten people, who were making the lives of our sisters hard, you see. So we have to have that type of an attitude, especially in an Islamophobic environment. We have to be able to give our sisters the tools necessary that we might have, that they might need to sort of, realize and manifest out of their own selves. Okay, because it's there, but it's there on a hidden level. Okay, it's there on an internal level. With us, it's on our sleeve. With us, it's outward. With them, they have to tap into it on the inside and to sort of bring that recipe for success, that masculine, without it being gender-oriented, that masculine power of success in society. And again, our women of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, show this, you see. For example, when Hazrat Zainab salamu alayha is in the court of Yazid, the bringing the prisoners, and Yazid gets up on his throne, and everybody hushes, and then he looks and he sees a group of women surrounding somebody else. And they're talking, they're not paying him any mind. Imagine that. He sits on his throne, everybody's supposed to get quiet and look at him, and there's these women out there in the corner, all of them in a circle, focused on the inside, with their backs to him. And he says, who is that arrogant woman in the middle of all of these people? And Hazrat Zainab, with her sheer attitude, looks at him and says, you talking to me? You talking to me? You, the son of the freed man of the prophet, whose grandmother chewed the liver of my uncle? You talking to me? Right? Where'd she get that from? Okay, she got that from that masculine aspect of herself that she reached into, that her father taught her about, and so forth. Yeah? And this is what we have to do with our daughters. We have to empower them. Okay, we have to empower them. We should not weaken them. Because a weak woman, okay, is gonna raise a weak generation. We men don't spend half as much of the time that our wives spend with our children. And if our wives are not educated, if our wives cannot explain Islam, if our wives cannot show the children, things like dignity, and show them things like ingenuity and discipline and the desire to study and so forth and so on, the children wouldn't get it. The children wouldn't get it, and we'd be raising a weak community. Give salawat to the Holy Prophet Muhammad and Islam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So, creation has its polarization, this polarized aspect to it. There's always this interplay of opposites, of complementary opposites. And there's all of this interplay of complementary opposites that we get existence, and we get reality. There's all of this interplay of intellectual opposites that we are able to understand the things. We can't understand things without looking at them in contrast. And you only look at them in contrast based upon looking at those things, or having in the background those things that are not it. Okay, that might be complementary to it. And so we can only understand ourselves if we want to know ourselves as men, if we compare and contrast ourselves to women. And you can only understand yourself as a woman in contrasting yourself with a man. What we have in contemporary society today is an attempt to neutralize that. Okay? So you find, everywhere they're talking about it being natural to be bisexual, for example, or to cross-dress and all of these crazy things. Okay? What they want to do instinctively is go back to the androgyne. Want to go back to the androgyne. But that androgyne is not something external. That androgyne is something internal. And that androgyne can only be experienced temporarily in the unity of male and female, in the marriage of male and female. Okay? Because in that relationship, what a woman brings out of a man is his feminine aspect. What a man brings out of a woman is her masculine aspect. Yes. Where do you think romance came from? Think romance came from a guy? Romance didn't come from a guy. Right? What a guy wants is grab, take, and run. That's a guy. Okay? What a woman is, hold on. Let's get to know you. I want to see your inner beauty first before I make a decision. He stops in his tracks. Did you bring flowers? You didn't. Well, let me tell you something. To get to know me, you got to bring flowers, all right? Go on, bring some flowers and come back. Okay? It's a woman that taught us romance. Okay? And we teach them aggression. We do. Sometimes they don't understand that when you're talking to them because they just want to vent. But when they come back home from work and somebody's bothering them from work and they're talking to you, right? You give them practical advice as how to deal with that person. Okay? On a male level. And they appreciate it. Yeah? So it is out of this type of a relationship that we find ourselves. We find that aspect of ourselves inside that men find that feminine aspect of themselves. Okay? It doesn't make you a girl. Okay? Because it's something qualitative. Right? And women find that masculine aspect of themselves. Doesn't make her a man. But it's something qualitative. That helps to complete themselves. Yeah? And what Islam does is it tries to emphasize the difference between men and women. It tries to emphasize that difference. They don't want that difference to go away. They want that difference to stay and maybe even be amplified. Because that polarity leads to power. Okay? It creates an environment where men are men and women are women. That's why you have, for example, we have this obsession with the beard, for example, because it's a male thing. It's like a lion's mane, you ever see if you shave off the mane of a lion, he's not a lion anymore, he becomes a lioness. Right? Okay. So you emphasize this. Whereas you find contemporary society de-emphasizing this. And so you find a lot of unsatisfied or dissatisfied people in society. Women are not satisfied with their men. And men are not satisfied with their women. Because there is no polarity that draws them together. Okay? In fact, what you have is similarity, an enforced similarity that drives them apart. See? So you have to look at it from this point of view, okay? And that the signs of androgynism, in a negative sense, where people are trying to be like each other so much. The Holy Prophet ﷺ said that these are signs of the end of times, when men dress like women and women dress like men, for example, okay? When women have, are considered to be leaders. That's what they talk about when they say women running society and so forth. Women are considered to be leaders over men. And men are considered, therefore, to be under women. Okay? It doesn't talk about men and women being leaders. It doesn't talk about that at all. Alright? It talks about women being leaders. That implies that men are not. And we live in a society just like this. And this is where all the facade comes in. This is where all the dissatisfaction comes in, and so forth and so on. If you want to establish an Islamic society, an Islamic environment that is a refuge and a means of solace to people, where people can find themselves, okay? You have to be true to your nature. You have to be true to your nature. And you have to be true to the Islamic program that helps us look after each other based upon whatever advantages that we might have over each other. If we do that, this environment, this community, is going to be like a beacon on a hill. You know, people would flock to it because they find themselves in it. Whereas outside, you get lost. So,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Women are I would say object is not really a good word, but a focus of love. Women are a focus of love. You know, there's a very, very good hadith where the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, that three things have been made lovable to me in this world of yours: woman, perfume, and my utmost happiness lies in prayer. These three things he loves. And there's another hadith where he says the more a man grows in spirituality, the more his love for women grows. All right? What kind of love is this? You know, you might think in terms of erotic love and so forth. That is part of it too. But the most important part of it is that some of the Sufi and Irfani shuyukh have said is that the most eloquent sign of God that a human being could contemplate is a woman. The most eloquent sign of God that a human being can contemplate is a woman. Why? Because a woman is the locus of the self-manifestation of Allah as Al-Jamal, as the beautiful. Okay? So there is that particular element as well, you know, where men would find that particular aspect of their own self-realization in women. Remember that beauty is a source of love, and love is the attraction to beauty. And beauty is perfection. Beauty is perfection. One of the very convincing criterion for beauty of face, for example, is this the concept of symmetry, right? The concept of symmetry, where, for example, the left side and the right side balance each other out, and the top and the bottom balance each other out, especially the left and the right. You know, symmetry. Okay, and symmetry itself does not have to do with, let's say, shape of something and the size of something and so forth. Okay? It has to do with balance between both. You know, so somebody can have, for example, a big nose, right? And really thick lips, okay? And be completely beautiful, like Sophia Loren. You ever seen a picture of Sophia Loren? Sophia Loren's got a huge nose, right? And thick lips. She's Italian, okay? Was considered to be one of the most beautiful women in the world. And it's true, okay? It's all based upon symmetry. When you look at a mole, for example, a mole, okay? Where a mole is very important for it to be beautiful. Okay? If a mole is here, very beautiful. If a mole is here, try to get rid of it. Alright? You know? Okay? Right here is perfect. Okay? If you amplify a mole, you look at it, it's nothing but a grotesque growth of skin. That's all it is. It's an ugly thing. Right? but put in a particular context, a mole is the most beautiful thing. Okay? Put in a particular context, a mole is the most beautiful thing. Right? This is what beauty is all about. And we are attracted to beauty. And you want to merge with beauty. That's what love is. You want to be one with beauty, because beauty is a symbol of perfection. All right? And so therefore, love, which is something that is generated by women, is something that can lead to the perfection of men. Okay? And it can lead to the perfection of women by virtue of the fact that she attracts to herself that which could actualize her inner potential. And this is something primordial. This is something primordial. You know, it goes all the way back to Adam. You know, I remember one of my first classes in Hausa. The teacher was telling us about the creation of Hazrat Eve, Hazrat Hawa. And he says that when Adam woke up, he saw across the other side of the garden Hazrat Hawa sitting down, and she was the most beautiful thing. Most beautiful. Okay? You know, Adam was dark, you know. So you say Adam means brown. Adam was a brown dude like me. Okay? But Eve was colorful, red hair and all kinds of things. When Adam sees her across from the garden, he looks at her and he says to God, she's beautiful. Yeah, God says yes. You know, Adam says to her, come over here. She says, no. You come over here. So it started from then, right? Adam looked at God, he said, well, he looked towards God and said, she tells me to come over here. God says, go, she called you, right? And ever since, men have been chasing after women. Okay? So it's something primordial. It's something that is always there. Okay? Because we are striving to regain the bliss, the pleasure of that androgyne. You know? It is one soul. So when you harm the other side, when a man harms a woman, he harms himself. He harms himself. Okay? When a woman harms a man, she harms herself. You can never, ever, ever harm a woman, okay, without you being destroyed in your own self. I have never seen, ever in my life, in my 60 years, a man who has harmed a woman, right, and he is himself not in pain. Because they are you. They are you. Okay? They're the opposite side of you. You treat them beautifully, you treat them with respect, you treat them with love, okay? And you will get love in return. You will get respect in return. Not just from them, but from your own self. And this is why, for example, you have so many hadith that says, you know, if a man brings a glass of water for his wife, you know, how many sins would be forgiven for him? Or if a woman brings a glass of water for her husband, how many sins would be forgiven for her? And how many prayers would be equivalent to, and so forth and so on. Okay? What it indicates is the internal bliss and perfection of that person when they show love, okay, and care for the opposite sex. Okay? So we have two kinds of love. You know, we have the intimate love that is between husband and wife, okay? And then we have that platonic love that all men should have for all women and vice versa. So that whenever we see one of our sisters in trouble, she mightn't be our daughter, she mightn't be our wife, she mightn't be our aunt, you know, but we are prepared and willing to do something to be able to help them. And this is what we find in Karbala, how they defended the tents, you know, and how they criticized the enemy for being so unmanly that they would want to attack tents where women were in, and they were prepared to defend those tents because the women were in there. This is the kind of relationship that we are supposed to have in total. You know, and I think if we know this, we would escape certain problems that we don't need to have. For example, you're in university, and I've seen this happen. Okay, you're in university. Here's Brother Abdullah, and he is great friends with Susie and Janet and Mary and Joan and so forth. Hi Mary, how are you doing? What did we have in class today? Can you see your notes? Yeah, okay, blah, 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 blah. But with Fatima, Salaam alaikum. Okay? Right? She needs help too. But when she's a Muslim, I can't talk to her. Come on, please. She's a Muslim, I can't talk to her. We all adults, man. You know? We all know when somebody's trying to come on to you or not. And we used to complain about this all the time. All the time. But if you see yourself as having a duty to your sister, right? You'll be Salaam alaikum, Sister Fatima. I didn't see you at class yesterday. Would you like some notes? It's quite fine. You're looking out for your sister. You see? The other day I read in, I think, the Metro or one of those papers, 4 or 5 months ago, a woman, they were in Dubai or someplace like that, and the woman drowned. Okay? They took her out of the water. She was still alive. Okay? No, they didn't take her out of the water. This guy could have saved her, but he didn't. Muslim guy. Why? Because he doesn't want to touch non-mahram. Okay? Yeah, this type of stuff, we could avoid this. All right? We could avoid this. And we put priorities on things. Put priorities on things. Okay? You know, most important is to look after our sisters. If we have to break protocol in order to empower our sisters, we can do so. If we have to break protocol in order to save our sisters, we can do so. I don't like to touch on Mahram, but she's drowning outside there. There's nobody else. There's no woman who could go there and save her. I'm going to go and save her. You have to look out for our sisters. You don't look out for our sisters, we destroy our future, our future generations. Okay? So let's keep that in mind. You know, let's change our perspective. You know, and we look at the women of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. You know, and we see how they have been. You know, what type of people they were. They were people who were knowledgeable. They were knowledgeable. You know, they were able to give guidance. They were able to give advice. Okay? They were not stupid people. Okay? They were literate. Okay? You know, and this is our approach as the lovers of Ahlul Bayt. Give salawat to the Holy Prophet Muhammad and his family. Tonight I'd like to talk a little bit about Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I know the Khatib is going to come and do a really good job, but I think, you know, a night like this, we have to remember him, you know, this day of Ashura. And when I think about Imam Hussein alayhi salam, I always remember there is a statement by one of the soldiers who were fighting, on the other side fighting, who described the Imam who was all alone fighting. And he said, I never saw a man who had lost all of his loved ones, who was covered in blood, who was outnumbered, who had a face that was so calm, a face that had so much light. To me, this was the most important description of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That in the midst of all of this carnage, he was a man who was at inner peace. He was a man who was not flustered. He was a man who, yes, he grieved. Yes, he felt sorry. Yes, he missed his companions. But at the same time, he was a man at complete peace because he knew where he was going. And he was going where other people were going. other people who had gone before. Here we have our Imam, who after his back is broken, Hazrat Abbas has been martyred. We have this Imam who is fighting all of those people all alone. And it is said that, when he would attack them, it was like a wolf attacking a sheep. They would all scatter from in front of him. But eventually, they surrounded him and they pierced him with arrows until he could not stand on his horse anymore and fell onto the ground. And while on the ground, they came around him and they took his life. But that wasn't enough. The ultimate was when Omar Saad ordered a number of men, and it is said that all of these men were illegitimate birth. He asked the volunteers to go on their horses and trample the holy body of the Imam. And some of them said that they took horses with the sharpest shoes, or they put on sharp shoes and the heaviest horses to do this. This was the kind of cruelty that these people had in their hearts. It is the first time in history of Islam where you find, apart from the Khawarij, that you find that mutilation of bodies. And whose bodies? The bodies of the Ahlul Bayt of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The first time you find this type of mutilation taking place, this type of disrespect for bodies. And so they left Imam Hussein alayhi salam in the desert, even his fingers being cut off to take away his rings, to loot that body, left that body naked in the desert without even a shroud to cover himself. This is how they did it. And they had the members of the surviving members of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam standing in the next morning and watching them bury their own dead while they left the dead of the Ahlul Bayt and their followers on the ground to be attacked and eaten by wild beasts. This is how these people were. But after all of this, here we are. After all of this, here we are commemorating the martyrdom of Imam Hussein and his companions. After all of this, we keep this alive because we've been encouraged to keep this alive. Because what it does is it empowers us against all odds. It empowers us against those hordes of people, the majority of the ignorant and the cruel, for us to stand our ground and to not be cowed. And inshallah, I hope that we are encouraged and inspired by the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his companions and his family, and that we are prepared even more and more to be able to lose whatever in the pursuit of truth, in the pursuit of justice, in the pursuit of harmony, and in the pursuit of reforming this world in which we live. Assalamu alaikum ya Aba Abdullah wa arwahi allati hallat bifida'ik. Alayka minni salamullahi abada ma baqit wa baqiya al-layl wa an-nahar. Assalamu ala al-Hussein wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussein wa ala awlad al-Hussein wa ala ashab al-Hussein. Salam.